The Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, isn't just a hospital, it's a medical pilgrimage site. When you've exhausted every other option, when the best doctors in your city have given up, when you need a miracle, you come to Mayo. Presidents, celebrities, billionaires, they all make the journey to this small Minnesota town where medical impossibilities become routine. But what if I told you that beneath the gleaming floors and world-class facilities, there's another Mayo Clinic? One that operates by different rules, serves different patients, and performs procedures that officially don't exist. My name is Dr. Kevin Walsh, and I was an oncology fellow at Mayo Clinic. I thought I was joining the most prestigious medical institution in the world to save lives. Instead, I discovered that some lives are considered more valuable than others, and some procedures are too profitable to refuse, no matter how monstrous they might be. It was January 2024 when I arrived in Rochester, driving through the endless, snow-covered plains of Minnesota to reach what felt like a medical fortress rising from the prairie. Mayo Clinic isn't just one building, it's an entire complex of skyscrapers, connected by an intricate network of underground tunnels called the subway system. These tunnels are legendary among staff and patients. In Minnesota winters, when temperatures drop to -30, you can walk from building to building, hotel to clinic, without ever stepping outside. The tunnels stretch for miles, connecting every major building in downtown Rochester. But as I would soon learn, some tunnels on the maps lead to places that shouldn't exist. My supervisor was Dr. Margaret Thornton, a woman who had been at Mayo for over 20 years and had a reputation for taking on the impossible cases the patients other doctors wouldn't touch. The diseases that didn't have names, the conditions that defied medical explanation. At Mayo Clinic, she told me during my first week, we don't just treat patients, we treat legends, power brokers, people who shape the world. And sometimes, Kevin, those people require unconventional treatments. For my first 3 months, everything seemed normal. I treated oil executives with rare cancers, tech billionaires with mysterious neurological conditions, foreign dictators seeking experimental therapies. The patients were powerful, the cases were challenging, but the medicine was ethical and cutting-edge. Then, I met patient X-7. He arrived on a Tuesday in April, transported in a private medical jet with an entourage of bodyguards and lawyers. No name in the system, no insurance information, just a designation, X7. The accompanying paperwork was minimal: terminal brain cancer, 6 weeks to live, unlimited financial resources. But when I examined him, something didn't add up. His symptoms didn't match any form of brain cancer I'd ever seen. His cognitive function was perfect, his motor skills unimpaired. His brain scans showed abnormalities that looked more like modifications than tumors. Dr. Walsh, Dr. Thornton said when I brought my concerns to her, patient X7 requires level 9 clearance. That's above your security level. Level 9 clearance. I'd never heard of it. At Mayo, we had levels 1 through 5, 4 different areas of the clinic. Level 9 sounded like something from a spy movie. What does level 9 mean? I asked. It means that some patients pay enough money to receive treatments that don't officially exist, and some doctors are paid enough to never ask questions about what those treatments involve. That night, I made a decision that would change everything. I was going to find out what level 9 really meant. The opportunity came 3 days later, when Dr. Thornton left early for a medical conference in Chicago. She'd forgotten to log out of her computer, and her level 9 keycard was sitting right there on her desk. I waited until 2 a.m., when the clinic was nearly empty except for essential staff, then made my way to the subway system. Using Dr. Thornton's keycard, I accessed tunnels I'd never seen before, passages that led deeper underground, past the normal network, into sections that weren't on any public map. The deeper I went, the more the environment changed. The polished terrazzo floors gave way to plain concrete. The cheerful Mayo Clinic artwork was replaced by bare walls, and the air began to smell of something chemical and wrong. I followed the main tunnel for what felt like miles, until I reached a security checkpoint with biometric scanners and guards I didn't recognize. But Dr. Thornton's level 9 card got me through. What I found on the other side was a complete medical facility, operating rooms, recovery suites, laboratory spaces that existed entirely separate from the main clinic. And the patients here weren't seeking treatment. They were seeking transformation. In the first room I looked into, I saw a man who appeared to be in his 70s, undergoing some kind of surgical procedure. But instead of removing diseased tissue, the surgeons were installing something mechanical devices that integrated directly with his nervous system. On the monitors, I could see his vital signs improving in real time, his cellular regeneration accelerating beyond anything humanly possible. He was being made younger, not cosmetically, but literally, at the cellular level. In the next room, a woman who looked like she was dying of some wasting disease was connected to 4 lines that weren't delivering medicine. They were delivering something that looked like liquid silver. As I watched, her muscle mass began to increase, her skin tightened, her hair darkened from gray to black. But the most horrifying room was at the end of the corridor. Through the observation window, I could see patient X7 on an operating table. His skull opened, and surgeons carefully installing what looked like computer chips directly into his brain tissue. Fascinating, isn't it? I spun around to find Dr. Thornton standing behind me, along with 2 security personnel who definitely weren't part of Mayo's normal staff. The cognitive enhancement protocol, she continued. Patient X7 is a tech billionaire who wanted to increase his intelligence by 400%. We're installing quantum processing units directly into his neural cortex. By tomorrow, he'll be the smartest human being who ever lived. This is insane, I whispered. You're experimenting on people? We're giving them what they pay for. Do you know what patient X7 is paying for this procedure? $50 million. And he's not our most expensive client. She gestured to the other rooms I'd seen. Cellular regeneration therapy, genetic optimization, neural enhancement. We offer services here that won't be available to the general public for decades. Our clients aren't just buying medical treatment, Kevin. They're buying evolution. And if something goes wrong, then they become research data for the next procedure. Every breakthrough requires sacrifice. The security guards moved toward me, but then the alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed throughout the underground facility, and an automated voice began repeating, "Code Black. Containment breach in operating room 7. Through the observation window, I could see patient X7 sitting up on the operating table, but something was wrong with his movements. They were too fast, too precise, inhuman. The quantum processing chips had been successfully integrated, but his enhanced intelligence had apparently reached a terrifying conclusion. The experiment is flawed. His voice came through the intercom system, but it sounded different, modulated, electronic, like it was coming from a computer rather than a human throat. Human consciousness is incompatible with unlimited cognitive enhancement, correction required. The lights in his operating room began to flicker, and I realized that his enhanced brain was somehow interfacing directly with the facility's computer systems. Initiating facility shutdown, his voice continued. Eliminating evidence. Protecting intellectual property. The ventilation system activated, and gas began flooding the underground complex. Dr. Thornton and her security team ran for the exit, leaving me behind, but I had Dr. Thornton's keycard and knew the way out. I made it to the main tunnel system just as the entire level 9 facility sealed itself off. According to the official reports, there was a gas leak in a storage area of the subway system that required emergency evacuation procedures. Patient X7 and the other clients in the underground facility were never officially acknowledged to exist. I transferred to a different hospital the next week, citing philosophical differences with Mayo's research direction, but I kept tabs on the news, looking for any sign of what happened to patient X-7. 6 months later, I found it. A tech billionaire with his description had reportedly suffered a skiing accident in Switzerland and died in a private medical facility there. But the obituary mentioned his remarkable final project, a series of technological patents that would revolutionize artificial intelligence and neural computing. Patents that would have required an intelligence far beyond normal human capability to develop. I don't know if patient X7 survived his enhancement procedure, or if his transformed consciousness found a way to continue existing in digital form. But sometimes, when I'm using my computer late at night, I swear I can feel something watching me through the screen. Something that was once human, but became something else in the tunnels beneath Mayo Clinic. Because in Rochester, Minnesota, I learned that medical excellence doesn't always mean medical ethics. And when you have unlimited resources and no oversight, the line between healing and horror becomes dangerously